I got fired April 5th of 2024, and it was only the second time in my entire adult life that I've been fired. The other time was the first job out of grad school, which was unexpected, but I just I don't know, that was a weird situation that I'll maybe make a video on for another time. But in 2024, I was working. I'm a real estate agent. For tax purposes, I'm self-employed, but I was working part-time for two different solo real estate agents that were both building separate businesses that from each separate from each other. And the only thing that those two agents had in common that were building those separate businesses was me. I was the common denominator. And I was an inside sales associate for those two agents. Now I'm an inside sales associate for just one of them. But I was an inside sales associate for both of them, half-time for one, half-time for the other. And I started that in mid 2022. I actually got my real estate license in 2019, and I was a solo agent for most of the time between 2019 and mid 2022, with the exception of like 3 months that I was experimenting with something else. And basically, I started mid 2022 with these two agents, both part time, so it was a full time role for me. And basically, just making cold calls, generating leads, following up with leads, setting appointments, that sort of thing, helping them grow their business and getting paid to do so. At some point, I got fired by one of the agents, and in a lot of ways, it was unexpected because she had said things to me like, "You'll always know where you stand with me." Well, I didn't know that I was on the verge of getting fired. I knew kind of like at the last minute, or as the day was approaching, 24 hours before I knew. But it's not like I did anything. I didn't do anything that she could fire me for cause for. This was more of like she could fire me just because she wanted to. Like I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't lie. I didn't steal or anything like that. So that's why I say it wasn't expected. It's not like I did something egregious. And basically that's why it was a surprise to me. And she didn't really tell me where I stood with her. And she always said, "Hey, things are going great." And yeah, I knew that there were problems, but it really came as a shock to me. But one of the reasons why this particular situation was difficult for me, more so than other life challenges, is number one, I felt as though she and I developed a friendship. There were a lot of personal things discussed between her and I, just about personal lives and stuff like that. And I did consider her a friend. I didn't even really know her before starting to work with her, but after working with her for 20 months or so, we were like, I felt like we were really good friends, and there were things that I told her that I hadn't told many other people in my life, and that was my decision, and I felt comfortable doing so with her because of the relationship that I thought we had. And but I do know also that there was like bickering when we were working together. We bickered a lot, and I challenged her and whatever, and we didn't always get along. And sometimes we had long, drawn-out conversations, and sometimes they were definitely tense and heated and emotion-filled. But I didn't necessarily think that she would just drop me without any notice. I thought that I would sort of be given some warning, like, "Hey, you're approaching the area where you'd get fired." And that's again why it was shocking to me. And again, she had always said, "Oh, you'll always know where you stand." And I realized that's. She also said, "Oh, you're like family to me. You're like family. You're like family." So I thought, okay, well, she definitely is going to give me some notice if she ever does this. And she did not. But anyway, so part of why this was difficult is it got sprung on me at the last minute, and I didn't see it coming. And also, she had confided in one of my best friends in the real estate office that I was a part of at that time. She had confided in that friend of mine, even though she wasn't super close with that person. She confided in that person that she was in fact going to fire me, and she confided in him months ahead of time before she actually fired me. He never. Why did she confide in my closest friend in the office? when she wasn't even that close with him. I don't know. I'll never know that, I guess. And I've asked, but I don't really get a straight. Well, I haven't really had an opportunity to ask, but that was really tough for me because my best friend, in the office had to keep a secret from me. And I was really pissed off at that friend because I felt like, okay, sure, you weren't going to tell me outright that I was going to get fired, but you could have given me some indication that you might have known something wasn't right in our business relationship, and whatever. So, but she said, okay. And then when she fired me, she had said, I said, well, when did you make, she's like, it's not like I planned this, but he told me months ago that she was going to, like, it seemed like months ago she told him that she was going to fire me, but she's telling me she didn't plan it. Well, to me, that's planning it. If you know ahead of time that you're going to do something and then you do it, that's a plan. I don't know. But it was just tough because it really created a rift between me and this best friend of mine in my office. And because I trusted this other person, this friend of mine, I trusted a lot, and we had a really close relationship. And I felt betrayed by him. And sure, I understand he might have been in a tough spot, but that's also like you allowed yourself to stay in that spot because she continued to confide in him as she was telling him, hey, this is what I'm going to do. She reached out to him multiple times, and he continued to serve in that confidant role with her. And I just thought that was not really appropriate. And I didn't know that it was going on at the time, but over time, it's like this stuff is just being revealed to me. And now it's not a theory, it's a fact. So that created, and then also why this was also tough is because the team leader of our market center, if you will, knew that she was going to fire me, and he knew ahead of time, and he had told me, he said, hey, she has your back. She has your back. This is like way before I got fired. And this was regarding another situation. And she's like, she has your back. 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 He said it like multiple times. And I'm thinking, well, how much could she have had my back if she was going to fire me? And he actually was the one that said, hey, this decision to fire you was made ahead of time. And he knew it. He knew it because as the team leader of our market center, he provides coaching to agents that are in the top 20% of production in our office. And so he was her coach. So she must have confided in him months ago that she was going to fire him. So now there's like two people. There's my best friend in the office that knows I'm going to get fired. There's the team leader that knows I'm going to get fired, and he can't tell me. He's not my best friend, but he can't tell me because he coaches her. But he didn't have to tell me, hey, she has your back, when that wasn't true. And then he also told me later on, hey, this decision to fire you was made months in advance. He even said it. Yeah, it was made months in advance. Once I finally got fired, I was like, hey, like how did this come about? He's like, I'm not at liberty to say how it came about, but the decision was made months in advance. So again, now I know it was planned, but I'm being told that it was at the last minute. So anyway, so this is why this is difficult though, because I felt betrayed by her. I felt betrayed by my best friend in the office. I felt betrayed by the team leader, not because I don't think that he should help her look out for her business, because he's in charge of coaching people in the top 5% of production. And so that's his role with her. He didn't have to lie to me and say, oh, she has your back, when in fact she did not. And he can always say, well, something changed, or whatever, and it was true when I told you she had your back. But now it's like, if I tell somebody that I have their back, like if I don't have their back the very next day for seemingly no apparent reason, I really didn't have their back in the first place. So that's why I was saying he shouldn't have said she had my back if she in fact did not. And he knew that. So this is why, for me, getting fired in this particular situation was harder than the other time that I got fired, because there were personal relationships involved. And on top of that, even after I got fired, like this, my best friend still, he didn't, he didn't even feel remorse for letting her confide in him. And he's just like, you're making a big deal out of things. Like, and I'm like, well, you're my best friend. Like, he's like, well, what was I supposed to do? He's like, I don't want to jeopardize my professional relationship with her. And I said, I get that. I totally get that. But you did not have to continue to confide, to allow her to confide in you up until the point I got fired, which was so that she could keep the secret and not have it be divulged to me before it happened, and that I could like make my own move. Like, up until that point, I get it. But after that, once I'm fired and I know what happened, well, now, like, you don't have to continue to allow her to confide in you. But he did, and she did. So that's what has made this, that's what made it really, really difficult. Because again, this is my best friend, and he's continuing to take actions that are essentially destroying the relationship between he and I. And yeah, that was just really hard for me because I felt betrayed. And then there were other things that happened, like, there were questions that she came to him with, like, well, I know I told Brad that if this happened, and this happened, this is how I'm gonna handle a little severance package. And oh, but if I make this move, should I still honor that, even though she already told me she would? And she's still confiding in him like that. She was still confiding in him after the fact like that. And I was like, I thought that was wrong of her too. Like, you're like, you could have confided in anybody about that, but you're confiding in my best friend. So you betray me, he betrays me. And then the team leader, it felt like a betrayal, even though he probably didn't owe me anything. The fact that he told me, oh, this person has your back, before she fired me, which wasn't true. That she didn't have my back. He shouldn't have said that. Besides that, I guess he didn't really betray me because his allegiance is really to her. But he is the team leader of the office, and to me, I thought he helps all agents. So that's why this was like real hard for me. And then there were she continued to confide in him about some other things that I might talk about in another video, because they were like, just ongoing drama, based on having gotten fired and me being shocked, because I was completely and utterly shocked. It was like, for me, and also that the person that fired me, she had said to me that part of the reason why the reason she told me she fired me was, oh, well, I want to preserve the friendship, and we bicker so much that it's not healthy, and I'd rather be friends with you and preserve the friendship than continue to work together. That way we won't have a working relationship or a friendship if we continue to work together, because it's just not healthy, because we bicker a lot, she said, which was not untrue. And she also said that I like challenge her ability to lead, which is actually also true. What happened when I say she wasn't completely truthful about why she fired me is because there were things that she did not tell me, that were going on, that were like, it just didn't make sense. Like, there were just some things that were going on behind the scenes that made her want to fire me, but she didn't tell me that part. She just acted like it was this and this, and I just felt like I didn't get the full truth. But she also had said to me, she's like, I do not want this to be the end. She's like, I want to maintain the friendship, and we had a close friendship, so I thought that was going to happen. And then she like even reached out to me after she fired me. She said, are you okay? And I'm like, most bosses would not check on somebody and say, are you okay? That's like a really rare thing that a boss would do, but she did. And I was like, yeah, I was devastated and I was shocked, but I was like, I'm not okay, but I will be. And I just thought, okay, well, this is an indication that she genuinely wants to preserve the friendship. And then when I tried to communicate with her afterwards, within a couple days afterwards, like almost like, look, we're just friends, because we had that close friendship. And so I was talking to her like she was a close friend, and the reception I got was definitely like she didn't really want to maintain the friendship with me. And I was really, that was super, super shocking to me. That was like one of the most hurtful things that I've ever experienced. And for me, like, my reaction to it was like, it was just, I was profoundly hurt by that. because I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, you said you're ending this to preserve our friendship. But what it sounded like she meant was, hey, like, I no longer want you to work for me, but I don't want to hate you either. So we'll just be, and I want to preserve the friendship. I think she just meant, I don't want to like not talk to you at all ever, but like we need to take a step back, both professionally and personally. But that's not what she said. So I reacted as if our friendship was just going to proceed as normal, because that's the message that I heard her say. And I don't think that's necessarily what she had in mind. But she wasn't telling me that, and again, there were things that I was told about why she fired me that like she never mentioned to me, although she kept saying, I'm telling the two reasons. These are the two reasons. This is all there is. There's nothing more. You're looking for something more, and there's nothing more. But I heard through the grapevine that there is from multiple sources. So, like, how do I reconcile that? I'm saying this to say it wasn't just getting fired, and I experienced some loss of income, and then there were some opportunity costs that I lost, a lot of opportunity costs. But for me, the biggest thing was feeling betrayed and losing the friendship with her, the friendship with my other best friend in the office, who she confided in, and like, and then that friend. This was the kicker too. Like, that friend, to throw salt in the wound, like, I was bringing an issue to his attention because he had a role within our market center or office where he was responsible for like safety and security and things like that. And I showed him a fire hazard that existed in the office. And I wasn't really concerned about a fire. It was more of an inconvenience to me logistically, like getting out of the office and being able to maneuver and go on appointments and go to lunch and things like that. So there was like a little blockade for me. I wasn't really considered about it. I was more concerned about, my own inconvenience rather than a fire. But it was a legitimate fire hazard, so I brought it to his attention, and I just said, "Hey, this has gone on," and then he went and told the team leader of the office, who he already knew I was on thin ice with, because I was really pushing the envelope when I discovered I got fired because of the shock. And because he had told me, hey, this person has your back, whatever. So he goes to the team leader, and he's like, well, Brad is acting Brad is crazy. Like, Brad is crazy. That's what my best friend told the team leader. And so that makes him the team leader, like he can terminate my independent contractor agreement with the office, which means that I'm still a real estate agent. I can still be a real estate agent. I can still be an inside sales associate, but I would have to find another place to hang my shingle, so to speak. And I didn't want that. So, like, why did he go and do that when he already knew that he sort of like created a major professional conflict with me for me already? That he didn't have to, because he kept confiding in this person and all the things. And he went and told this team leader, hey, this is what's going on, and all that kind of stuff. And so that's why, for me, this getting fired in this particular situation was one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with in my life. Even what it's been, 2000, so it's almost 2 years ago now that this happened. In a couple weeks, it'll be the 2-year anniversary of this happening. And it was a rough first year. I would say the last 6 months to 9 months have been much better, and there's been a lot of healing and growth and learning and things like that. Now I just don't care if I get fired from anything. I just really don't care. But I do not like being betrayed. I'm sure that other people who are, if you're listening to the video at 19 minutes and 20 seconds still, you probably don't like to get betrayed either. So if anybody can relate to this, feel free to drop your comments. But yeah, I'm just sharing this because maybe it'll help somebody else. Thanks.